Yes, so today I will be sharing our lecture exercise about Crud operations and aggregating data. So this is the task that you are tasked to create a database with a schema called staging, a table under the schema called employee. The table should have columns where it is employee ID, and it should have employees, employee ID equals 1, which is an integer, the department, which is a string type, and employment year, which is an integer. So I am going to be working with this on my local UI. So I am on, if looking at my pathway on my path, I am on the correct folder, and I will be starting to create an empty database straight into DuckDB. So I will write DuckDB-UI HR, I can call it HR.duckdb. Don't forget to write the extension here. And it will open that. Now I will open a new notebook called HR, you can call it HR data. And in here, we need to check that the database HR is in there. Well, this is, I have already pre-created the staging, but this is how I created the staging schema. So create schema first. Create schema if not exists. ID, we can call it staging. Right. Now we have created a staging schema here. And then we're now going to create a table. So what we can do here is create sequence to generate value for employee ID column. And it says here that the employee ID will start from 1. Yes, ID sequence will start from 1 because the first employee ID should have employee ID equals 1. So I will create a sequence, create a table, actually I will create a sequence. Create sequence because we want the employee to start from 1. Create sequence if not exists. We can call it ID sequence. And we need to define where it starts, so we can do start 1. And now that we have created it, the sequence, now we can create a table. Create table. Create table if not exists. We need to call the schema staging, and then we need to call the table. What are we gonna call the table? We can call it employees. So the table name is employees. What do we want in our columns? We can have employee ID that we have created, and it is an integer, which was shown in the task. Can make it also default Next, val ID, I can make it an ID sequence. And the reason that we are making it the next val is because when it starts on the next row, then it will automatically have the next value of the employee ID, which will be 2. Because this is very necessary when you're creating sequences. And this is for column 1. We can also have another column, which is called department, and the data type can be a variable character. Can have it called column 2. And employment year, which can make it into an integer. Column 3. Right. So now that we have created a table, we can check how it looks like from staging.employees. It's not showing. Okay, let's do describe. Well, it did create here. Yeah, it should show that we have describe staging.employees. Right. The reason why this did not return anything is because we have 0 rows. Now, yes, we have these 3 column names. Next is we're gonna go into our Crud operations, which is the task 2. The second task is that the stakeholders, for example, first emailed you. Let me just check. The stakeholders first emailed you information of 3 employees and asked you to add these records into the database. And the new information that needs to be added are as follows. The first employee is from the sales department and was employed in 2001. The second employee is from the logistics department and was employed in 2002. And the third employee was employed in 2002 in the IT department. After a few days, the stakeholder composed a CSV filing for information of the next 100 employees and asked you to add these records into the database. You can find the CSV file called CSV employees.csv under data. So here we will be doing the C of the Crud, which is create. So what it can do is we want to insert rows manually, and where we're gonna insert department and employment year, because this is what we need, department and employment year into our staging.employees table. So how we can do that is we can do insert into staging.employees. We want to insert it into department. So we have the department table here. And we want to insert it into employment year. The values, we can have, what are the values that we need to add according to the task? We want to add sales. So we can write sales and which year, which is 2001. We want to add logistics, which is on the year 2002. And we want to add IT on the year 2002. Let's see how it, so it will return 3 new rows. Let's see. Select, we need to see everything. So select everything from staging.employees. If we're going to check that, yes, here we are. These are the new, this is what the sequence of the next file did. When a new row is added, it automatically adds the number as well. And this is the new data that we have inserted. Now we want to ingest file from our CSV. I have a file here that says employees.csv and more employees.csv. And I can write ingest file from CSV. So what we can do is we can do insert into, we want to insert it on this table, on these columns. And we can do select everything from this. We do not need to do a read CSV auto like we always did. We're going to do this read CSV since we need to manually insert data. So what was the name of the CSV? It was employees.csv. Right. Run it. Oh, staging, yeah. So now we have 100 new employees, which was part of the task that it says that according to the stakeholder, we want to add 100 new employees to be added on the database. And that is what we have done. So we can double check. We can double check by selecting the whole table from staging the employees. Right, so now we have added all, and it says we have 100 plus 3 that we have created, so now it's 103. Now there is a new task. Let's say that for the third task, that, oops, the stakeholders contacted you and said that the 98th and the 99th employees were employed in 2023 instead of 2024. So now we need to update the records correctly. So now we are going into the update of the Crud operations. So we can simply do that by using the update function and selecting the table. And we use the update and the set. No. Yeah, we staging the employees, and we're going to set employment year employment year, which is 2023. What did it say? 2023. For 98 and 99th. So here we're gonna set the new employment year. Now we need to choose which one, so we can use the employment ID in 98 and 99. All right, so now that it's updated, yes, we can check it again. Staging.employees. Now that we check it again, if you're gonna see on the 98th and the 99th, yes, now it is updated to 2023. Now, if we're gonna go on the fourth task, that the stakeholders ask you to have asked you to add the information about the pension plan of each employee. Employees before 2016 have Plan 1, while others have Plan 2 as their pension plans. So for this one, we will be using the alter in the Crud operations. So we're going to use the function alter table, staging.employees. And we need to add, since looking at data, we did not have a column about the pension plan, so it does not exist. So we need to add a column called pension plan. We need to define the variable type. We can make it as a default as well. So it's going to be, according to the task, it's plan 1. So we just make everything plan 1 in the beginning. Something is wrong. Okay, we can try to update maybe. Update staging.employees set pension plan equal to plan 2, where employment year is greater than 2015. Yes. So let's just double check. Like everything from staging that employees. So, something has gone wrong. Okay. I can just change it here later. So if it's below 2015, it's plan 1, but after 2016, it's plan 2. Would like to update, since I had a typo, where pension plan is set to plan 1 if employment year is actually less than 2015. Right, and now let's check everything. Now it should all be correct. Yes. Now the next task is that the stakeholders figure out that there was no employee. Let's see. That there was no employee employed in 2001, and ask you to remove these employees' records. So here we will be doing the delete of Crud. So basically after 2015, basically that we need to check the rows that we want to delete before deleting it. Before deleting, this is just to be careful. Right, so what we can do is we can select everything from, we just need to check which one we want to delete and if it's correct. Employees. And according to the stakeholder, we need to remove the employee ID that is equal to 1 because it does not exist. Yes. So now that it's made sure that it's that one, delete from staging from this table where employee ID is equal to 1. It should, yes. Now if we double check, yes, now employee ID number 1 does not exist anymore. Yes. Now there is another task wherein now the stakeholder wants us to do another thing. That stakeholders wants to create a new table with more employees from data, more employees at CSV, and ask you to analyze the below with new data. So how many distinct departments are there? And analyze the summary statistics of salary by department. Include the maximum, minimum, average, and median salary. Right. So for this one, we need to create a new table just for the that contains the more employees that CSV. CSV. So we can do a query to create a new table if not exists. We can name it more employees. As and we select everything from our CSV. For this one, we're gonna do CSV with auto because we just want all the employees, the table, all the columns from the table to be in our database. So it's always in the data folder, and I already know that the name of the CSV is more employees at CSV. And we are just going to read it. Now we have 9,600 rows of data. If we need to check it, check. We can do select everything from staging that more employees. And it will show the 9,600 rows with the columns here. Right? But according to the task, we want to create, after we created a new table, we want to show how many distinct departments there are. So how many distinct? So we can do the count function. Select count. And we can also use the distinct. But how distinct department? So we need to do department as how do we want to rename this new column? We can rename it as distinct department. From staging dot more employees. Then it returns 10 new distinct departments. We can try to check what it is. Oh, it's not new, but it will just show what is the total amount of departments we have, which is 10, but we need to know what it is. From staging dot more employees. Distinct departments. I see. Distinct departments. Distinct. Okay, let's try this. Okay, it did not show. I guess I have not created. But it did show how many distinct apartments, and I will have to create a new table for that, which I do not want to. Okay, but we can analyze the salary data. So how we're gonna do that? We can select the department, and we want to select the average monthly salary in SEK, Swedish crowns. We might also want to round it, so we can round it and then rename it as average salary in Swedish crowns. We will do the same thing for which was required, which is the median monthly salary. We can do total salary. Yes. They also want the minimum. And we can also have the maximum. Maximum. Right. From staging dot more employees. Right, and we group it by department. So as you can see here, this we can analyze the average, total, minimum, and maximum salaries per department, since we have grouped it by department. So yeah, this is what the HR data that we did during week 2 of our lecture.